Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day because what we're talking about right now is something that millions and millions of Americans are watching very closely. This is about real money, real promises, and real pressure being put directly on the people in power. Today we're talking about the official letter that has now been drafted and sent, calling out the president and calling on lawmakers to finally give definitive answers on the long-promised $2,000 stimulus check, or $2,000 dividend payment, as it has been repeatedly described. This is not speculation, this is not rumor, this is not another vague statement floating around on social media. This is a formal demand for clarity, timelines, and accountability, because people are struggling right now, and they are tired of waiting in the dark. For months, really for years at this point, Americans on fixed incomes, seniors, people with disabilities, Social Security, SSDI, and SSI beneficiaries, and working families alike have been hearing the same thing over and over again. Help is coming. Relief is coming. A dividend is coming. A payment is coming. And yet here we are, heading deeper into 2026, still asking the same basic questions. When is the money coming? Who is eligible? How much will it actually be? And what hoops, if any, will people have to jump through to get it? That is exactly why this letter exists, and that is exactly why it matters. Before diving into the details of the letter itself, it's important to understand the frustration behind it. Over the past few years, costs have exploded across the board. Housing, groceries, utilities, insurance, medical care, and everyday essentials have risen far faster than incomes for most Americans. For people living on Social Security or fixed benefits, there is no room to absorb these increases. There is no extra cushion. Every dollar is already accounted for. When leaders talk about sending direct payments, people listen because for many households, that money isn't about luxury or convenience. It's about survival. This letter represents the voices of over 530,000 seniors, people with disabilities, and benefit recipients who are demanding answers. Not next year, not after another election cycle, now. The letter clearly lays out the repeated endorsements made by the president throughout 2025, endorsements that created real expectations for real people. In February 2025, the idea of a so-called DOGE dividend was endorsed, framed as a profit-sharing payment funded by government savings. That alone sparked massive attention because it suggested a new model of returning money directly to the people. Then came July 2025, when the president openly remarked about thinking of a small dividend for people within a certain income range. Around the same time, Senator Josh Hawley formally introduced the American Worker Rebate Act of 2025, proposing a minimum $600 payment per person funded through tariff revenues. That wasn't just talk, that was legislation. It showed that the idea of direct payments was actively being considered at the highest levels of government. In October 2025, the conversation escalated even further. In an interview, the president stated that a dividend or distribution between $1,000 and $2,000 was being considered. That statement alone reignited hope for millions of Americans who remembered the pandemic-era stimulus checks and understood how impactful direct payments can be. Then in November 2025, the president took to Truth Social and made one of the strongest statements yet, saying that a dividend of at least $2,000 per person, excluding high-income earners, would be paid to everyone. That wasn't a one-off comment. Between November and December 2025, the president doubled down multiple times, repeating references to a $2,000 dividend payment. When leaders speak this consistently, expectations are no longer unreasonable. People begin to plan, people begin to hope, people begin to count on it, and that is where the responsibility comes in. The letter makes it clear that while these promises sound great and would be life-changing for a huge portion of the population, words alone are no longer enough. With midterm elections approaching, the timing could not be more critical. Lawmakers are being asked to stop hinting and start acting. The letter calls for formal legislation, clear eligibility guidelines, and a realistic timeline for passage and distribution. Not vague assurances, not political sound bites, real answers. One of the most important points emphasized repeatedly is eligibility. There is enormous confusion and misinformation surrounding who would qualify for a $2,000 payment. The letter and this discussion make it clear that eligibility is not about whether you are working. It is not about whether you file a tax return. It is not about earned income versus unearned income. It is only about total income. Income is income, whether it comes from wages, Social Security, SSDI, SSI, pensions, or other fixed benefits. That distinction matters because millions of people wrongly assume they would be excluded when in reality they may not be. The letter directly asks 5 critical questions that lawmakers must answer. First, when will this money realistically be distributed? Not hypothetically, not optimistically, realistically. Second, what is the income threshold for eligibility? Third, what is the realistic dollar amount that will actually be paid to each person? Fourth, what additional steps, if any, will individuals need to take to receive the payment? And fifth, will 2025 income data be used to determine eligibility? These questions are not unreasonable. In fact, they are the bare minimum. Without answers to these questions, people cannot plan, cannot budget, and cannot make informed decisions. Every delay adds anxiety. Every vague statement erodes trust, and trust is already dangerously low. After the letter is read, the conversation turns to accountability. The point is made very clearly that this is about calling out both the president and lawmakers. Promises were made in 2025, multiple times. And yet here we are, still waiting. People are watching, voters are watching. And with midterm elections approaching, the political consequences of inaction are real. There is also a broader frustration being voiced. Many Americans feel like they have seen this movie before. Back in 2021, people were promised $2,000 checks and ended up receiving $1,400 instead. That experience left a lasting scar. So when leaders once again say $2,000, people are understandably skeptical. Is it really $2,000? Or is it going to be another bait and switch? That is exactly why a clear official answer is needed now, not later. Another major point of debate is the income threshold. Earlier statements from officials suggested eligibility could extend to individuals earning under $100,000. That number is incredibly broad and would include a massive portion of the population. Many believe the final threshold would be significantly lower, but without confirmation, no one knows. This uncertainty fuels anxiety and speculation, neither of which helps anyone. Then there is the argument about affordability. Some lawmakers insist the country cannot afford another round of direct payments and that funds should instead go toward paying down the national debt. But when surveys ask the public what they prefer, the answer is overwhelmingly clear. Most people want direct relief. They want help now. They are not interested in abstract debt reduction when they are struggling to pay rent, buy groceries, or cover medical bills. This disconnect between public sentiment and political messaging is a major reason why this issue has become so heated. People feel ignored, they feel talked down to, and they feel like their daily reality is being dismissed in favor of long-term financial talking points that do nothing to help them survive the present. The letter also highlights an important question about likelihood. Will this actually happen? Some voices within the administration say yes, something is coming. Others say absolutely not. This mixed messaging creates confusion and frustration. People deserve a straight answer. Even if the answer is no, honesty would be better than endless ambiguity. The repeated endorsements throughout 2025 make this situation even more perplexing. If there was never any intention to follow through, why mention it at all? Why raise expectations? Why float multiple versions of the same idea over a 10-month period? That is the question many Americans are asking, and it is a fair one. As the discussion wraps up, viewers are encouraged to share their thoughts, suggest additional questions, and stay engaged. This is not just about one letter or one video. It is about sustained pressure. Change does not happen quietly. It happens when enough people speak up and demand answers. The message is clear. Time is running out. Every day matters. Every dollar matters. For millions of Americans, this $2,000 payment could mean the difference between stability and crisis. Lawmakers need to decide which side of history they want to be on. And finally, as always, viewers are reminded to stay informed, stay engaged, and support one another. This is a busy year. Big decisions are being made, and the outcome will affect all of us. Make sure to share this information, leave your comments, and keep the conversation going. And of course, if you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. I'll continue bringing you the latest information as soon as it becomes available. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.